The Progress Report app can be used to organize your information regarding your progress on your projects. Uh, you create projects by touching the plus key in the upper right or the lower left corner of the view, and you can go into an individual project, and when a project's first created, you'll have many different aspects for that project created by default. Uh, this is the default project. It'll be set up with project notes, management status, agile status, client status, management status report, list issues, risks and issues, defects, decisions, minutes of meetings, uh, change requests, agile status, management status, change status, client status, and the list goes on. You can, if these categories of information don't work for you, what you can do is simply touch the plus key at the lower left corner of the view and then enter a new category. And if you wanted to store test cases in here, you just create the new category and it'll show up in the view. Then you can just open it and you can add your own test cases. So you can describe your test case. This field here is for asking a prompt or a question about the data that you're entered below. So you can either admit that or you can fill it out. Like if I wanted to put out the test steps, I could put test steps here and then just list out what you want to do. And then it does autocorrect, so you can just select the correction below. So, and that would be how you would store a new type of information if you wanted to. So you can reorder these categories as you wish. So just simply touch the edit key, and that gives you the ability to press the minus to delete one. You can also swipe to delete, but I'll show you first if I wanted to delete one. I'm just going to go down here to the bottom, just delete a few of these, and you can delete whatever you don't wish to have in your project. And now under each one of these, now if you wanted to, say you're doing your agile status, and a typical agile status is going to be, what did you do yesterday, what are you going to do today, and what are your impediments or your blocking items. You could ask those questions in a number of ways, but through experience I've tend to instead just open up one of these for each day. So you could simply specify the day and then put down and say it's a stand-up meeting, and you could put down worked on automated test in Appium, and then you could say what are you going to do today, a debug test, and then what are your impediments. Maybe there's a particular driver or something that you're trying to work around, or device compatibility. You could list that out and give that status. And it just kind of keeps a diary of what you did every day. And it's useful to go back, particularly if you need to do a status report at the end of the week. You can look over your notes from your stand-up meetings, and you can just have those listed out, and Now you can also send these reports. Suppose I had 2 days here. Let's put in 8/5. So I documented the API on that day. So I got 2 days status there. Now you can send this status out to someone. You could simply email as a text, and that will create a text attachment. So if you were to email this to yourself, you could send that out. When the recipient receives that email, they can simply touch this report and they'll see a summary of all those um, statuses in a text file, which could be used for cutting and pasting or sending to another app. Similarly, if you wanted to send a report in HTML format, you can just type here. And when that report arrives, it'll be in HTML format. So that'll just give it a little bit of bolding and formatting. Looks a little sharper. Now all the views in this app can be reordered. So if you had several projects and you were shifting priorities between projects, you might say, okay, I'm going to put a priority on human factors this week. You could bring that up to the top. You could downgrade the enhancements because we're not getting to those. The reskinning effort, that's a lower priority. The defects, you could adjust those to where they fit into your priorities. And if you found that you're not even going to work on the biometrics project or it got canceled, you could just delete it. And so that's reordering. You also have reordering on the status reports view. So if you had your project notes, you might want to keep up at the top. Maybe your test cases, you're not going to work on that. Agile status, you need that every day. Management status, you're only going to do that like once a week. The secondary management status, you don't need. Risks and issues, well, you're not really having any problems right now, so you're just going to downgrade that. You're having a lot of meetings planning for the new initiative, so you're going to bring that up. And so you got it reordered the way you want the status reports viewed. Now, if you go into your project notes, depending on your particular, maybe you're doing Agile and you're not doing waterfall models, so you don't feel like you need level 0 estimates or level 1 estimates, you could delete those. And you could put in here your business context. So if if you had Jane working on your project and just making up a few names here. And so you got a few people on your project. Now, what this is handy is if you are, you have several projects going on and, you get an email in from Raj and you're going to reply to it, but Raj is kind of vague and he didn't really tell you what he was talking about in the email. You could quick do a search and you could look up and see which of your projects Raj was on, and you can say, oh, he's on the Uplift project. Okay, let's look at the context of that project. Go back here, and you can look at, go into the Uplift project and look at the notes, who the other team members are, and try to gather the context of his email and come up with a good response. Also, handy if you're doing staffing or you're trying to figure out uh, estimates and you want to get an estimate of head counts or how much budget you need for the next month. You can figure out how many team members you got and roughly allocate that between them and come up with your forecasting. Now you can share information. Like if I wanted to share all these projects, that's probably a rare situation because there wouldn't be anybody that would be on all the same projects that you are, possibly. But for backup purposes, you just touch on the action key down here in the lower right corner, and you can send yourself an email, and this will contain all the data in the progress um, progress report app for all of your projects, and just send that over. Now, if you wanted just to say, okay, I'm working with this guy, um, Joe, on the human factors project, and I want to share all my information about this particular project, you could touch the action key in the lower right corner of this project, and you could send an email off to your team member and just send only the human factors project information. Now, if suppose you had a meeting and you're meeting with some of your coworkers and the business, so you're going over requirements for the new feature that you're going to add, and you could have a meeting. And you sit there in your meeting and you're listening along and you're taking your notes. And first of all, you might want to say who was in the meeting. So you list those out, and then at the end of the meeting, you might want to expand on those a little bit, fix any misspellings you have, and you type up your notes. You describe the fields, what the purpose of it is, that kind of thing. You make a lot of decisions. Then you get done with your call, and you want to send out minutes. So you can open this up again, and you touch the action key here on that project, and it'll create minutes. Nice little format for you, and you can go and fill this out further, like if you have a project code, and your location. If you had WebEx information, you could put in your notes, and you could take the people that attended the meeting, and you could actually cut that, and you can move that up and put it in the participants area, and just reformat it a little bit, and then you could either send it directly or you could send it to yourself and then edit it a little further or look it over, and it's just a handy way to keep track of meetings. Like sometimes you don't go there with your laptop or your desktop computer, and it's your phone's always with you, so you could just type up your notes and you have it all handy. And now you're probably thinking, well, we talked about some super top secret stuff on this meeting, and I really don't want that going out over the email. So that's fair enough. What you can do is you can send this via other transport mechanisms, and you could pick a secure one like Signal and say, okay, I'm going to send this email out, or not email, a message over Signal, and just send it over securely to somebody, encrypted in both directions. Now, all the notes that you put in here, I showed you that they were searchable already. You could search for any topic. You could see maybe Raj is on a couple of projects, since I've mentioned his name a few times in here while I was demoing. And you can also all the notes. If you're in on your iPhone and you wanted to do a quick search, so if you wanted to do a search right on your device, and you can touch that individual and it'll open up from Spotlight search on your iPhone or your iPad, and it'll go directly to those notes and you can look at that directly. Now if you want to share all the notes from a particular project, like say you had a human factors project, and on there you had a few team members, and they were like Helen and Doug and Kevin, and you wanted to share the notes, all the notes regarding this particular project, you could touch the action key here, send that as an email, when the person receives those notes, they can simply touch the icon for the notes in the app, and then they could choose to import it into Progress Report. And then if you go into the Human Factors project, you'll now have project notes in there that have been imported from that person's email. You also have the original project notes here. The reason there's duplicates is in case you want to work through a merger of those two notes, and you could rename this project notes as project notes that you sent on this particular day, and distinguish them from just the base project notes that you had up here. And then if you decide that, okay, these project notes are no longer valid, you could delete those and just have these project notes. And if you want to reorder them back up to the top, you just use the edit key and the reorder functionality. Now if you had a particular Ben here, like you didn't like the way some of these status report categories were named, you could touch the I and you could rename them. And for whatever suits your methodology. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of how to use the Progress Report app, and download a copy today and enjoy. And if you want to remove these banner ads or have unlimited number of projects, upgrade to the Progress Report Pro. Now you don't have to go out to the App Store and repurchase it. You can simply go to the Settings tab and just press the big blue button there and purchase yourself a copy.